I'm looking forward to turning the floor over to Octavian and hearing what he's got to say.
Okay, so I'll do a quick demo of the first part, how the machine gets discovered and the OS system gets installed, basically. So at any point when you have questions, please just hop in. So basically what I did, I just created a virtual machine, connected it to the same switch as the admin node, and it's now booting. And it is going to take a short while until it boots, unfortunately, being a VM on my laptop.
Ah, okay.
About while the machine boots, actually, about the quantum issue, is anybody looking at it? Do you know how? Should we start digging into it deeply and see how to fix it?
So do you want to give us some background on which build of Crowbar this is and what's running in the background?
Hold on a second. Basically, what this is a build of pebbles. It's and according to my hold on a second. VM library. It's built 4031 on pebbles.
Okay.
I tried before with earlier builds like 3918 and so on, and it was failing exactly in the same way. What I saw today is that at the point to which I got up to now, it looks like the quantum cannot connect to the MySQL database. That was more or less the point I reached just before joining.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. It doesn't connect to the what?
To the MySQL database.
Quantum isn't connected. We're definitely troubleshooting the issue. I'll have more details on that.
No, I'm not aware of that. Excuse me. What makes you think that it's having difficulty connecting with MySQL or Octavian?
Can you see my screen now? This is actually a log from the controller I was building.
Okay.
And this is the log. In varlog quantum, these are the errors I got. And it's basically just saying...
I need to get my microscope out.
So one of the things, unless we have to troubleshoot this right now, I really want to focus on making sure we actually go through the demo and talk.
Yeah.
We want to get you fixed. I think some of the audience
definitely
get a feel for the kids.
Yeah. Okay. The comment I would make on that, what I've seen there, David, is we are seeing some issues with the SSL key availability. However, I believe it actually comes back to using alternate connectivity methods. See, but you're getting a MySQL's gone away.
Yeah.
We'd have to look at that deeper.
Yeah, I was actually getting ready to look into it, but I joined the con call, so I'm going to continue digging on that.
I'm happy to work with you to resolve that.
And how should we do it, or should we talk later on, or should we think?
Let's talk later on.
Okay, excellent.
Direct if you like.
It looks like my machine is for some reason very slow today for the loading.
Yeah.
Just 1 second to try and see what's going on here.
Octavian, let me give you my phone number.
I don't know. I'll do an intro for you.
Okay.
Thanks. It looks like I have a Mac process that went wild with on CPU.
Yeah. Understand the laptop dilemma.
Just 1 second. So while we're waiting for this to give you an overview, actually we can do it on the admin node as well if it loads the page. It's on waiting. So when we are allocating the node, we added a new parameter which is called target platform. If it's not set, by default it will load the default OS and it will display the default OS. We can change that to, in our case, Windows Server 2012, and based on that, on the node reboot, it will go and start booting the Windows PE from the Windows PE environment. At the moment, there is one restriction, and that is because all the parameters of the Windows setup, unattended setup configuration file, have to be hard-coded inside the WinPE boot environment. We cannot have multiple operating systems, multiple types of Windows, like Windows Server 2012 and Hyper-V running in the same environment. This can be extended later on if we will support as well on Linux. There are some tools to edit the WinPE boot image from Linux. And if those tools will be fully supported by the community and accepted, because they are not standard packages for SUSE, for instance, at the moment, or for Ubuntu. I think they are trying to push them as a package in the latest version of Ubuntu, but I need to confirm that. And this is why we didn't include those packages from the beginning. If we would use those, we could edit for each and every boot of every machine the Windows PE environment to have a custom unattended setup for each machine, like similar to the Kickstart or AutoYAS. But at the moment, it will look for it always in the same location, which is currently /tfcp boot Windows -6.2/unattended. It cannot take advantage of the locations customized for each node. This is one of the restrictions at the moment. Great. It looks like the admin node actually.
The audio. Can you hear me?
Hello?
That's better. I turned that off. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, much better. I switched our video connection.
I'm hearing you with
Now we have
echo
echo.
at the moment.
An echo?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me address that. You go ahead and keep talking. I'm going to mute to kill the echo.
Okay, let me try and see why the admin node actually is frozen at the moment.
Hi guys, listen here. Hello?
Hey, let me just try and restart the whole setup. It looks like the whole virtualization environment died.
looks like your machine's struggling to run all those images.
Yes. It just crashed completely. It cannot start.
So can the Windows server run? It looks like you're using. Actually, I don't use my Mac enough to know. This VirtualBox running on a Mac? What's your virtual?
I'm VMware Fusion.
Oh, this is Fusion. Okay.
Yes, because we need as well nested virtualization.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if you tried to run this in VirtualBox or something like that.
No, I didn't try to run it on VirtualBox, but as far as I know, on VirtualBox, they do not have nested virtualization, so we cannot run Hyper-V inside of VirtualBox.
Okay. That's fine. So one of the things that we will want to think through is, what we should do to pull together demos that we can, that are. I understand the challenges of laptop limitations. And one of the things we've been buying are very, very expensive laptops, but that have a lot of resources on them for this. Tell you what, instead of trying to boot the machines, can you walk through what the UI changes are and then start?
Yes, I can try. Unfortunately, if it's the admin node is not up, I cannot show you many of them. So basically, when you click on any node, once it's discovered, on the list of details, we added, as I said, the target platform. It's also added as a parameter on bulk editing. So you can specify on multiple nodes at once the target platform. There is another check if the target platform is Windows, and specifically Windows 2012, not Windows Hyper-V. It will also pop up a new field for entering the license key for that. These are actually the changes that we did to the UI.
Okay, that makes sense.
Nothing else was edited. The only details that we do not have are the details which are showed in the right side, like the hardware ID of the machine. We cannot get that from Windows, and we also have to see, probably we will not be able to show directly the number of disks and configuration for those. We were looking on a way to display them. At the moment, it will be just unknown.
So that's Ohio.
The issue for
right. That makes sense. So all of that's discovered from Chef in Ohio. Okay.
Yeah, and the problem is that on it's actually using the DMI on Linux, and we don't have on the Windows node. Basically, it's empty, that area. This is the Linux node, and if here we have the Windows node, hopefully it's still cached. It's basically the DMI entry, it's completely empty. So some of the information that we have for Linux will definitely not be available. For the processor, we can take it from different locations, but for the serial number, for instance, and for the disks, we cannot. What we can add, we can access from Windows. It's basically the partitions already. that's the only thing we have access to in from Chef on Windows platforms.
And those things drive the UI. I don't think they're tied into the cookbooks for decision-making logic, so that should be okay for now.
Yeah, like and this is, for instance, is the license key. It's shown as an attribute as well in the. One question that we wanted to discuss is we have a different way of identifying the network cards. Like the information we can obtain is related to the plug-and-play device ID, which is like this. It looks considerably different from the ones you are using for ordering the card.
Right. No, that's going to be a deep change from the network perspective.
Yeah, I think all we need to have bigger structure for how we're
Working on that. Yeah.
And we identified another restriction. There is the speed here. The only problem is that this is actually, if I have a 10 gigabit card and it's connected into 1 gigabit switch, it will be 1 gigabit because there is the WMI class from Windows giving me information theoretically as well for the max speed. The only problem is that it's beautifully, and it says it has not been implemented yet. So on Windows, I do not have any clear way of identifying the maximum speed of the network card if it's not connected in switch supporting the maximum speed.
Okay. And most of the descriptions should actually allow you to default back to the actual speed, to use the actual. That's okay. That's good. It's good.
So if that's okay, then it's perfect.
Octavian, is the characteristic base, that is the type of the maximum speed, the characteristics of the port, not available through the Windows Mini Port driver interface?
I will need to check it. As far as I've seen, it's not, but I have to check again.
It's a long time since I had a look at the SDK to be able to point you to it.
I'm going to check, to double check on that and confirm also. So except these changes, basically, there is no modification done to the UI. At the moment, what we did...
You walk through the process that you had described as how the Windows boot image gets into Crowbar? Because you would, in our discussions, you would talk through a process of having to create the Pixie media or the bootable media to handle the WinPE environment?
Yes. Basically, we created a PowerShell script, which is available here and on GitHub. It's open source. And this script basically creates, if you have a clean install of Windows Server 2012 or Windows Server, Hyper-V Server, it will automatically download all the required tools and create the image. In the end, we also added the option to even copy it if the SAMBUS share is available. We also added the option to automatically copy it to the administration admin node, Crowbar admin node, with all the folders and everything required. So basically the only required thing is to get this PowerShell script and run it once on the machine from which the user wants to generate the WinPE image.
Do you have to run it once per boot machine, or just once for the whole system?
Once for the whole system, because it automatically copies all the required files to the admin node. So after that, that machine can be closed and used for being actually to deploy on it Hyper-V or any other component from the Crowbar environment. The problem is that WinPE cannot be, from the licensing point of view, cannot be distributed. It has to be created on the Windows configuration and license that's going to be used for deployment. You cannot freely distribute it. So this is why it has to be created locally, but it has to be created only once.
Okay, that makes sense.
We also added like configurations specifying which is the Crowbar specific configurations. Server name, the available shares, and where to put all the required files. This can be customized if it's needed at any point. So whoever wants to try and test it can just download the script from here and run it. The other thing I did not mention actually as a deeper change in the Crowbar system is that we need to be able to support, to have Samba. I've seen that at least on Ubuntu there is only one package which is not available from the cached repositories, but we need to be able to have Samba enabled with guest access for the Windows share. Because unfortunately, this is the only way you can install Windows over the network.
So right now, I think there's an NFS mount, NFS share that's set up to allow, or the TFTP site. I think it's a TFTP share.
It's TFTP, but that's used for booting. After that, I think it's for Linux. I think you're using HTTP.
Right. So part of you had to add to the Crowbar install a Samba setup, or is that part of the Crowbar cookbooks, or is that part of the different cookbook?
It has to be added. We have to add it to the admin deployment. It has to be on the admin.
Right. Which and most of that's done by the Crowbar cookbook during install.
Yeah.
So you're using the admin node. Are you using the admin node as an SMB server?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, we are using the same locations as all the other operating systems. In TFTP boot / Windows 6.2, it's everything that's required to deploy the Windows machines. So this is why we have to have Samba on the same node. Otherwise, we would have to have a completely external node only for that.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, it makes sense as a way for people to be able to retrieve files off of the admin server, which they do need to do.
So once the Windows install bits are copied, either through the script or they can be copied manually by the user after the WinPE bits are created on the Windows server, that Samba share can, and I think it also should be read-only access to ensure the security for it. So nobody from outside has any reason to modify what's on those shares.
Okay. Okay. Is there any log aggregation from the Windows servers, like an rsync log? Because that would be the other thing I'd see the Samba shares could be used to do is dump logs.
Well, the whole logging system in Windows is done quite differently. So we could try and find at some point a workaround for it.
That's fine. It's not, once again, not an urgent feature. So Samba being read-only makes perfect sense. It lets you pull the WinPE image down.
Otherwise, well, the only thing is if we create, then we can reconfigure, let's say, Chef and the Crowbar join scripts from Windows to output all the logging on a mounted share. But let me know if you think that would fit. The problem is that that location will definitely have to have write access, and everybody could do whatever they feel like on that share.
Okay, so after the system boots, WinPE is going to install Windows on that node. That makes sense. Then the Chef client's included in the boot image. How do you get the Chef client?
Yes, it is included in the image. We are actually transferring. I just booted up the node I have installed for testing to actually show you as well the logs and everything. Actually, I forgot that on this one I even have the console, the graphical console, so we can have a look at it easier. So these are the 4 files which get actually copied except the Windows installed. It's the Chef client installer, which is running automatically, and it gets installed automatically. The Crowbar join script, which we rewrote as a PowerShell script. We need to use curl as well to access the admin node, and we also have a script to set the host name. And all the logs are currently located in Crowbar/logs. So this is why I was saying, for instance, these ones could be redirected to a Samba share on the admin node if it's required.
Excellent. It's always good to know where the logs are kept. This is a good start, and then if we need to, a dump does make sense.
If you could, get those on the Samba share, and let me know the path that you choose. I've written a Perl script that helps analyze logs and gives you an overview of which Chef clients are running on which node and which roles they're getting and removing.
Okay.
That'd be wonderful. This is Judd at Dell.
Most probably, in this case, it will fail since the admin node didn't start.
So in this model, the 3 nodes are standalone. They don't set up a cluster. Is there still a UI for Hyper-V in Windows that you can see? Like, so if Nova creates a VM, how do you know that it was created in Hyper-V?
Yes, you can have, if we're talking about Windows Server 2012, there is the UI. If we are talking about the Hyper-V server, that comes stripped down. So you can use PowerShell to get the list of VMs that were created and what's their status.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. And does Glance have a cache on this machine too? So you have to install the Glance agent?
No, it's not having a Glance agent, but whenever you boot an image, it actually checks locally if it has that image. If not, it's going to pull it from Glance and also cache it locally. So whenever you boot the second image of the same type, it will use the cache copy.
Okay. So, and that's just the normal, that's the normal Nova behavior. You've implemented that. Okay. And so that's part of the, and did that code, did the Windows version of that code make it into Grizzly, or is it Havana?
It's in Grizzly.
Okay. Good. Right, this is all Pebbles. So, have you had to make any modifications to Grizzly as code overlays or anything like that?
No.
And then the network code. Go ahead.
What we are doing, we are just using the stable available release from OpenStack, and we are using that one to deploy it as well. So there is absolutely no change from the base code.
And then, but what networking mode did you end up using for this?
On Windows, what we have available at the moment on Quantum Neutron is support for flat networking and for VLANs.
Okay. That makes a lot
Deeper
of sense.
integration of Open vSwitch is going to be available on the next release only.
So that's really Nova networking more than Quantum?
No, it's Quantum.
So you're
It's
using
Quantum,
the Quantum, okay, you're using Quantum VLANs, but not OVS. Not OVS is the wrapper for it.
No, we are using, it's the plugin for Windows. It's perfectly compatible with the Linux deployment, so it speaks directly as OVS. So if you have, and this is the way it was built for Grizzly from the beginning. So if you have a Linux deployment of OpenStack, you can just plug in Windows machines and they will connect directly.
So, all right. So does that mean that there's a Quantum agent, I'm not calling it a Neutron agent, running on the machine also as part of the configuration to set up the network? Okay.
Yes.
How are the agents being managed as services in Windows? Is that the?
Yes, they have to. In order to be able to have them available at all times, they have to be services. Yes. And so basically, we are using just wrapper on top of the regular Python commands to make sure that they are available as services.
It makes a lot of sense. And did you do any of the Node.js integrations from the Nova deployment, from the Crowbar deployment? So did you?
No,
plug in?
not at the moment.
That's fine. I'm just trying to bracket. I would have.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't expecting you to say yes. I'm just trying to make sure that what I understand the scope of where we are.
Anything need to be done on the Ceilometer side?
Sorry?
Anything need to be done for integrating with Ceilometer?
I will need to check that. I cannot tell you for sure at the moment. I need to check.
Okay, thanks. One more question. Any special BIOS setting needed for running the Windows?
No.
Okay. Any of the testing you're doing is on your laptop? And basically the virtual environment right now?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Which is usually working better than now.
Understand.
All right,
Any other information I can share with you, or?
I think what you're saying makes sense. I like to. Can you bring up the bulk edit screen? One thing I wouldn't mind seeing, and then after that,
I'm going to try, but unfortunately, the admin node is the one that was not starting. So
okay.
I cannot actually access the interface. What I have here is just the cached version of it.
I understand. Okay. That's fine then. Yeah, boot is the most intensive thing to do on an admin node, and it's very hard on a virtualized environment. So, yeah, I mean, we're clearly
like with every presentation. Until now, since I started working on this environment, I had no problems with the admin node crashing completely.
Right.
But obviously, it had to happen exactly now.
Well, screen shares will do that too.
How much memory are you allocating to the admin node?
8 gigs.
Good amount.
And how large is your disk?
The disk of the admin node, let me just check, 60 gigs. I increased it because we also need to copy the Windows bit.
60? Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Can you just, if you can bring the node up, can you SSH in and just have a look at your disk free space?
Right. But let's hold on the troubleshooting a little bit, because what I want to do is, we have 5 minutes left. I want to make sure if there's any outstanding questions for this.
Oh, good point.
Okay.
No, this is actually a VMware Fusion error for sure at the moment. It's not related to the Crowbar admin node.
Right. We understand. We've done enough Crowbar demos to know. All right. I think we've got questions. I think this is great. I really appreciate you putting on the demo and walking us through this. It's really helpful to me that we can really do it in the community.
Definitely.
And we can show people how this is coming and start getting it. I actually wanted to take the last 5 minutes to talk through the merge block on Pebble's trunk, because I think that we have a lot of polls backing up, and if we can spend 5 minutes on that, understanding what your issue is, it might help us in the as the community to move forward. So, are people okay switching topics? I think,
Sure.
Is the echo really bad for our phone? I've been trying to not.
No, it's better now.
Everything's good for me.
Glad I asked. I'll leave the mic open. So, Octavia, can you describe what you said you're seeing an issue with SQL and Nova won't start?
Yes. Actually, it's not Nova. I'm trying to deploy the quantum role on a controller. I was trying to, since I have limited resources here, I was trying to deploy a single node controller with Keystone, Cinder, Glance, and Quantum, and then use the Windows, the Hyper-V to integrate it with it.
Makes sense.
One of the issues.
What target OS are you using?
For the Linux bit, it's Ubuntu 12.04.
Okay. So I think you were seeing the same thing that we're seeing on Trunk.
Are you using the current Git tree?
Yes.
Right. The current Pebbles branch is broken. We are having some quantum issues.
And I think I'm finding exactly the same issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it would be helpful if in the dialogue that's going on, if you raise that. It's helpful for us to know if other people are being bit by it, because we're really trying to hold the line with fixing this issue, and before we let other pulls come into Pebbles.
So part of the problem that we are having at the moment is that people we've brought in to try to help resolve this will variably say, it doesn't affect me, I don't see the problem. Or they say, I can't do anything. It's not working. And neither of those help unless we are aware of it.
Yes.
Okay.
So right at the moment, we've called a moratorium, that is a block on pulling in any of the pull requests until we fix the current issues, because as the code tree sits right now, it is not possible to in any way reliably test a pull request to make sure it doesn't do further breakage.
To resolve, so I introduced you and John together. Your notes might be interesting to help with that. We're working on it. Adam, I see you're on the call, so I know this is an urgent issue from everyone's perspective. And I truly am worried that we're going to further destabilize. If we want to fix this issue and not destabilize by taking more polls. So.
Presumably this relates to the quantum bar clamp pull request 109, where there's a suggested fix from Vincent.
It's on my schedule to evaluate that one today, Adam.
Okay, I see there's some logs have provided to him for that, but they're not publicly available. So he couldn't make the call today, unfortunately, but I can run with it if need be if the logs are provided.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Logs aren't public.
Yeah, I'll have to find a way to get the logs up to you, Adam.
Okay.
I'll discuss with Rob after this call, and I'll certainly make all the logs available to you. I've got yards of them.
All right. With that, we're at the top of the hour. So, Octavian, once again, thank you very much. Did we have a topic for 2 weeks hence? Oh, we're going to be busy. We're not going to be.
You're not going to be here.
So
We will not be there. And the next one I want to discuss, I think it will be the time when Jira will be operational, so we should discuss that as a community thing. We can do it on Thursday or on Wednesday. Cool.
Okay. And I am working out, I'll know more in first week of September, but I'm planning a day, effectively a day-long R2 briefing, mid-September timeframe. So, yeah, and we're out of time. Good. All right. So no time. All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.